Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to go ahead and call the regular City Council, City of Lamarque, Texas meeting to order. This is Monday, December 10th, 2018, 6 p.m. Let the record reflect all members of council are present with the exception of Councilman Lane, who is in traffic between here and Austin somewhere and doing his best to get here. And council, that being a work-related item, I'm going to suggest without objection, that's an excused absence. If you'll please stand for the invocation and pledge.
Let's pray. Most holy and merciful God, we certainly acknowledge your presence in our lives. For you reminded us in your word that we cannot live, move, or even have our being without you, without your energy, your force, and without your power. So we thank you, Lord, for that, and we thank you for this great city. Lord, for each and every member who calls the city home. Lord, for every appointed and elected official that serves the city. Lord, we give you thanks. Lord, we pray during this holiday season that we would understand what your will is for this great city. You see your vision clearly for us. Lord, that we might align ourselves with you. Lord, in this meeting tonight, we pray that we deliberate with peace, Lord, with hope and with joy in our hearts. Thank you for the opportunity. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Item number 4 on the agenda, we have no presentations or proclamations this evening. Item 5, citizens' participation, limited to 3 minutes per person. Comments from the public. At this time, any person with city-related business who has signed up may speak to council, limited to 3 minutes. In compliance with the Texas Open Meeting Act, the city may not deliberate on comments. Personal attacks will not be allowed. Personnel matters should be addressed to the city manager during normal business hours. In layman's term, as I've said before, excuse my redundancy, but we cannot talk back to you. So if we sit here looking like a calf staring at a new gate, it's because that's the law and we can't respond. Our first speaker is Mr. George Schilter. Welcome, sir. If you'll state your name, make sure your mic's on, and state your name and address.
1, 2. George Schulter, and I live in Omega Bay. And I'm going to speak to you about item F, which is on your agenda today, that has to do with forming a tax reinvestment zone in Lamarque, in Omega Bay. A few weeks ago, I got from my next door neighbor, Patty, who's present here today, this one-page document, and I provided all of you with a copy of it, that says if we sign the attached document, that is the first step in the city taking over the roads in Omega Bay, and it will be of no additional cost to me. Now, I know Robert, our councilman, has been quite involved in this project, and I realize, of course, because of our laws, he can't speak to other councilmen about these things, and so I'm bringing the issue to you all generally so you have a general idea of what my concerns are. In the document that I gave to you, there are some roughly 14 questions that have to do with forming this kind of a district, where the money's coming from. Are you going to take part of my property as part of this expansion program of the roads? If you are, how am I going to be paid? How are the other 280 some homeowners going to be paid? All of these are basically open questions, and I present them to you so that as you take this under advisement, as you move forward with this program, that you'll have some understanding of what it's about. The reason I say that is because nobody who has organized this group has been able to come up with the answers to these simple 14 questions that I have proposed to you. I'm not opposed to the district. I'm not opposed to the district. I'm not necessarily for the district, but I do want to make sure that what we do benefits the homeowners in Omega Bay as well as our citizens of the city of Lamarck. And I thank you very, very much for your time. There are two other things I wish to say to you this evening. First of all, thank you very, very much for your service. Merry Christmas to you. Happy New Year. And let's maybe take something on Charlene's name tag there. Maybe we could take that first word off, interim or something like that. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, sir, and Merry Christmas as well. Ms. Geraldine Sam.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. Two things on my agenda. First of all, I would like to say that I really would appreciate, as the gentleman has said, if we would keep Charlene as our city manager. We need to keep people in-house. People that live in our community, that know our community, know the people in the community. We want her to be a part of this committee of keeping our city the way that it is. I watched you all work, I watched her work, and I just want to say that I'd like to see her as the next city manager. So, we don't keep hiring these outside people that's only going to come in, get experience, and then within 2 to 3 years going to go somewhere else and then get another job down the road at our expense. So I would just like to say that I'd like to keep her. The next thing is that I would really like an explanation of the 3% increase in the garbage pickup. Will it, we barely touched the surface on it, and will it be a 3% overall for the whole city, or will it be a 3% per household? And then the finance director said that some houses were going to be paying more and some were going to be paying less. How will that decision be made? And will the citizens in Lamarck be given a letter of some sort explaining to them that this 3% is going to be overall a 3% for my house, and I'll be the one, will you flip a coin and say, Geraldine Sam get the higher rate? Will you flip a coin and say, Mayor Bell's going to get the lower rate? I'm just asking so that we'll know, and the people will know what's coming down the track.
Yes,
Thank you. Those are my two questions.
We'll have those answered for you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sam Farrell. Welcome.
Good evening, and thank you for the opportunity. I just wanted to say thank you to the mayor and the city council, especially Robert Mistich I'm Sam Farrell with over at 34 North Flamingo in Omega Bay, city of Lamarck. I wanted to thank each of you, and especially Robert, for all the hard work that they have done on the attention and just the proposal for the TERS to get on the city board here. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Clarence Caldwell, my friend.
Good evening, City Councilman, and good evening, everybody in attendance. First of all, I'd like to thank the Marque Police Department for doing a fine job they've done this year and continuing success with our chief and everything. Now, the question was, the issue that I'm having is the same issue that I had talked to you about a couple of months ago, about this ditch and about this water, that the job is not getting done, and they keep sending people out to do the job, and it's costing the city money, and the job is not complete. Water can only drain one way, and that's downhill. And I got pictures to show y'all here that it's dry as the Sahara Desert right here, but on this side we got about anywhere from 8 to 12 inches of water in the ditch. It's not going anywhere. And when the guys came out to hydroblast the culverts, the supervisor even said, I can tell you what the problem is, right here and right here. You got humps here on your side, you got humps over here, water's not going to drain. Okay, I tried to contact all the right channels in order to get the job done. I've taken pictures. I got today's pictures. I got pictures from the recent rain and how it looks in that ditch. It doesn't make sense. We need right there, somebody need right there do their jobs. And that's just the bottom line, because that's costing each and every last one of us money. And like, we getting ready to raise the hike up on the garbage and everything, okay? Well, those little things won't be happening if the job is done correct the first time. Then we ain't got to raise hikes and stuff like this, because the city will have the money in the pool in order to pay for stuff and improvements. Do you like to see the pictures?
No, sir, the people that are involved that will help you out are sitting in this room as we speak. And I'm
Okay.
sure they just heard that. And
Well, I gave them, they gotten pictures before,
the
sir.
interim city manager will be in touch with you.
Okay. All right, well, they gotten pictures before by email, and people came out there and pointed out to them, and nothing has not been done. The last time I had a conversation with somebody was 3 weeks ago. God forbid we have another rain like we just had, but I was in Vinton. Vinton looked like Harvey. God forbid that to happen down here, because our drainage where I live at is piss poor. Somebody needs to right there do the jobs.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
As far as having money in the pool, I'll just make a point of order. That 3% raise is contractually owed to the trash company. The city of Lamarck's not doing it for our benefit,
Okay.
but it's in their contract, annually a 3% raise.
Okay, no problem.
Yeah, and that's about $7 a household, basically, paid monthly.
Okay.
Not 7 a month, but 70 cents or whatever that turns out to be.
70 cents a mile.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
No problem.
Next, thanks everybody for speaking. Number 6 on the consent agenda, anyone wanting to pull anything? Hearing and seeing none, I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
A second?
There's motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Item 7 is a public hearing. Madam Clerk, if you'll call the time, please.
6:13.
6:13, we'll close the regular meeting, open the public hearing. A, conduct public hearing to hear public input regarding adopting ordinance number 0-2018-0015, changing the zoning classification from C1 commercial to R1 residential as recommended by the Planning and Zoning Commission of Lot 7A of McNeil's subdivision, replat of Lots 7 and 8, a subdivision in Galveston County, Texas, according to the map or plat thereof, recorded under clerk's file number 20170600207 of the plat record of Galveston County, known as Spruce Street, PID number 721063, amending the zoning map of the city of Lamarck, adopted the 12th day of December 2005 by ordinance 953. Anyone wishing to speak? Anyone wishing to speak? Hearing and seeing none, we'll go ahead and move to item B, conduct a public hearing to hear public input regarding ordinance number 0-2018-0016, changing the zoning classification from C1 commercial to R1 residential as recommended by the Planning and Zoning Commission, being lots 9 through 12 of the north 26 feet of Lot 13 and Block 5, and lots 12 and 13 and the north 20 feet and Block 6 of McNeil's subdivision, a subdivision in Galveston County, Texas, according to the mapper plat as recorded in Volume 275, page 379 and 380 of the deed records of Galveston County, Texas, known as 1101 Oak Street, PID number 98799, amending the City of Lamarck zoning map adopted on the 12th day of December 2005 by ordinance number 953. Anyone wishing to speak? Anyone at all? Going once, twice, 3 times? Thank you. Another public hearing, item C. Conduct public hearing to hear public input regarding adopting resolution number R-2018-0027 to approve the land use assumptions and capital improvements plan and to call a public hearing on the imposition of impact fees. Anyone wishing to speak? Yes, sir.
Good evening. My name is Robert Santini with Friendswood Development Company. We are the development company of Delaney Cove in the city of Lamarck. Want to just really share some facts, a brief history of the past several years for Delaney Cove. I can only speak from my personal experience in Delaney Cove. I know there are several other residential communities in Lamarque that will be affected by these pending impact fees. But from Delaney Cove, since 2015, the market conditions have allowed us to increase pricing, to increase home sizes, to push for the value that I know all of the city of Lamarque, and in particular the council, has been seeking. Since 2015 through the first 9 months of 2018, on average the price has increased 6.5%, while increasing the home sizes a little over 4% each year. Our sales at the same time have also increased. We've gone from 22 sales in 2015 to a high of 65 the first 9 months this year, so on pace of about 7.5 sales per month, which for us, from a community that was dormant 2008 through 2014, is great. It's great progress. We've been on a good trend from 2015 through the first part of 2018. Over the past just 60 days, we have moved from selling homes on 50-foot lots, which was the majority of Delaney Cove prior to this year. Going forward, it will be all 60-foot lots. This was a strong position from the city and from the Planning and Zoning Commission that all lots in Lamarque going forward are going to be 60-foot wide lots. This is a cost that was absorbed in Delaney Cove with these price increases. We absorbed the loss of future revenue on the current 50-foot lots with these price increases. As of 60 days ago, though, we have began selling on the actual 60-foot lots, and that sales pace of 7.5 per month has declined to 2 per month, with the increase of about $12,000 going from a 50-foot lot to a 60. The homes we sold this year have averaged about $212,000 to $213,000, and the addition of another $10,000 for the lot size is really, in our opinion, for the past 60 days has hit the peak of what the market will support. I bring this up just to say that as council is considering these impact fees, the addition of another $3,700 per home is going to be pushing up against a market that's already at a high point, and there's not much, we believe that there's not much more room to push pricing, at least for our community where we're at. I can't speak for the other communities. But something to consider, we will continue to push pricing where possible. It benefits us to sell a home for more value. It benefits the city. We want to keep pushing value so everyone in our community, their home values continue to increase as well. But at the same time, we can't artificially increase a home price, and we can't force a buyer to buy a home that they can't afford. That's where I'm at tonight. I will be back at the next public hearing for the impact fees as well. I just want to give the facts of where we are and the success that we have had for the past couple of years, and just want that to be considered. Thank you.
Thank you, and I also want to thank you at this time for participating in providing Chief Warrant Officer Uran and his wonderful wife being a part of helping them to attain a mortgage-free home.
Absolutely.
For a wounded warrior, for a veteran, and your participation in that is very much appreciated. Thank you so much.
They will move into their new home in January. So
Yeah.
they actually preferred, we were making a push to be prior to Christmas, and they said they wanted to spend Christmas with their family where they currently are, and they're moving in January. So we're excited for it. Thank you.
Great work. City of Lamarque also gave a grant of $50,000 that we received as a grant, so several entities have made that possible for this young man and his wife to have a mortgage-free home for what they've done for our country. He was in a helicopter crash, traumatic brain injury, and it's just a great thing, and I'm proud of the city, and I'm proud of Lennar, and Operation Finally Home, and the Houston Home Builders, and all who participated. Council, does anyone want to say anything on this during this public hearing on this item?
I'd like to see more information on what your claim is about your, not only your the housing sales drop in your organization, but if there's anything else that would support what you're saying, other home builders that are having similar problems, that I believe that's something that this council needs to consider. But not just from your folks, but if you can kind of give us a general idea of what it looks like industry-wide.
Yes, sir.
I realize the impact that it will have on all builders, but the reason for it is because of a critical need that we are approaching, where we're going to have to either build a new sewer or waste treatment plant or expand the existing ones. In fact, there was an article just over the weekend or today, like the last 3 days have kind of run together, but there was an article, I think it was League City, where they're having to wrestle with the issue of a new sewer treatment plant. And they too have, I believe, the impact fees there. But it's still not going to be enough to cover those costs. And we should have, in all rights, reduced this impact fee and instituted one probably 3-4 years ago. But we've had quite a number of things happen, and it is just now coming to the front. But it's a tough issue, but we're trying to find a way to fund this, because this impacts, while we want the growth, it impacts everybody. And new customers who buy a home, they want those toilets to flush. That's all.
Flush and go somewhere else.
Yeah.
Any other discussion? Anybody want to speak? Madam Clerk, will you call the time, please?
6:23.
6:23, we'll close the public hearing, reopen the regular meeting. Item 8, old business A, discussion, possible action regarding adopting ordinance number 0-2018-0015 as delineated in the public hearing. I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Item B, discussion, possible action regarding adopting ordinance number 0-2018-0016 as delineated in the public hearing. I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Motion second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Item C, discussion, possible action regarding ordinance number 0-2018-0017, accepting the City of Lamarque Engineering Design Criteria Manual prepared by Attico LLC. I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Motion second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Item D, discussion, possible action regarding adopting ordinance number 0-2018-0018, establishing procedures and criteria for appointing members to the boards and commissions. I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Motion second. Any discussion?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Great work, Casey, great work. A couple areas that we talked a little bit about when I was in on the discussion. I wanted to see if we can possibly add to see if we can solve some of the other issues that we brought up. On page 175, there is a residency requirement for the boards and for the committee members. One of the areas that we talked about was perhaps an opportunity might be missed if we exclude certain members of our community that may not be residents of Lamarque, if we allow this to stand as written. For example, if perhaps for some reason we were able to attract the superintendent to the Parks Board, or if there perhaps is maybe a person who has significant experience in planning and zoning, that might be members of our community, but not necessarily members of our city. What I would suggest or offer, if as an amendment, if there is a person that's available that has a verified skill set that would be beneficial to a board, that by unanimous vote of a council, that person might be accepted to that board. Only by unanimous vote of council, and only if there can be verifiable pertinent experience to that board. That would be a way that I would think that we might address issues that might cause us more trouble down the road, and still strongly advocate for members being members of our city. That's the only thing that I see in that area, and again, we can discuss it. I don't have an issue with discussing it. The other area that I saw would be down to letter F, would be absences. And the part that I'm having some concern about would be the part that says any committee member cannot miss 3 consecutive meetings without stating a reason in advance for the meeting. Here's the part that I think we might run into trouble. The committee members present must approve the reason for it to be legitimate. That's an issue, because down after that it says if there are 4 unexcused absences in a 12-month time period, that person could be, by vote of that committee, removed from that particular assignment. And I'm having a problem because some things I would think are more important than what committee members deem to be excusable. For example, if there is a person who has been hospitalized, if there's a person who's on bed rest, if there's a person who, by doctor's orders, have to be exempt or excluded from attending meetings, I would think that would be an excused absence. The way that it's read, the board could deem that that's not an excused absence. Perhaps there are persons who have legal custody of children who are unable to, at certain times, find adequate child care, and they may have to miss meetings. If there's a court order that says that they have possession of children, maybe those things, and it sounds like it's common sense, but politics can get real funny really, really fast. And so I would just think that we might want to consider protecting folks who legally or medically have permission and even under advisement miss meetings. Those are the 2 areas, Casey. And again, they're open for discussion.
Well, I think my first question is just for Ellis. I mean, I can't remember, do we have something written out already that has the parameters for which an excused absence, that helps guide what is an excused and an unexcused absence?
No, I don't have a guide.
Okay. So I see what you're saying, and I mean, first of all, this is definitely not mine. You know, we all have worked on this
Sure.
as a group. But I think, I hear what you're saying, and I can see how we can never predict what a certain group of people might deem A or B at any time, right? But we do have to, the way I see this, we have to set some kinds of parameters so that we have established, you know,
Exactly.
what is an inexcusable amount of time to have missed your monthly commitments? You know, we've talked so much about recruiting and seeking people in our city who are eager to serve and committed to serve. And, you know, I would certainly feel that, you know, legal reasons, medical reasons constitute excused absences. But I also feel that we have to allow some trust in the people who sit on our boards and commissions to communicate with those certain members. I don't know if there's, I don't know, I'm eager to hear what you guys have to say. I feel like this one is, I don't know what we do if we don't establish some kind of minimum, you know. This I feel like is pretty lax. I feel like if you miss, missing 3 out of 12 meetings a year is a lot.
And I want to be clear. I 100% support this document, and I support especially what we're trying to do in the area of absences. What I'm simply saying is, being in politics as long as I have, and understanding how sometimes things work, after we're long gone, and after the committee members that currently serve are long gone, I just think that we need to make sure that people are being treated in a way that's filled with compassion and gratitude for their service. And 3 of those absences might have been legitimately unexcused. The 4th one, my kid was sick. I went to the doctor's office, and I had to stay home with my kid, but there's an issue because that committee member may be vehemently opposed to an issue that's before that committee. And so then what happens? And it sounds like it's out of the realm of normal response in community service. But again, I've seen things just in politics in general.
I mean, I certainly don't think it's out of the realm
Okay.
of possibility to consider, that. But I'm curious. So what do you suggest?
I simply think that we should in some way establish that if a doctor or a judge says that there is a reason that you can't keep your commitment on one particular, I'm not talking about the doctor says I'm going to be out 6 months. Well, there's a problem in itself. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about on a case-by-case basis. If for some reason there's a court order, there's a legal requirement, there is a medical requirement on a case-by-case, meeting-by-meeting basis that I'm unable to attend, it should be a given that that's an excused absence. I don't think that we should, as a council, leave something that obvious.
Well, is that something that we can do, Ellis, is say something along the lines of, documented medical excuses and, I don't know, legal excuses is a very vague word.
Yeah, right.
But,
And which is why I say it's open for discussion.
I feel like it's one of those things that I totally feel you, and I think that those are those kinds of obvious things that, of course, you leave it unsaid. Eventually, it could be challenged, and then you hope you've put together a group of people that can reasonably talk something out, and that you have a reasonable counsel as well, can make a decision if need be. But I also don't know, if we start to legislate it too much, are we getting in the weeds?
Sure. And I would even go, Casey, the other way which would be if there is a recommendation from the committee that a person be removed for unexcused absences. If it comes then to this council or to future councils to ratify, to validate, then that's enough for me. I just want to make sure that there's processes and there's checks and balances that there are right-thinking people that can see clearly what those issues are and can identify if we have a person who's willing to serve, who has had a few issues, or a person who is certainly unwilling to serve, who needs to be replaced. And we can do it any way you want to do it, Casey. And I'm talking to council as well. I just want to make sure that we're kind of closing that loophole.
I have a suggestion. What if we added one sentence to it that says, any board member may appeal to council their removal?
Sure.
And then that way it puts that, if there is an issue with a board and it's not being fair or something, they have a appeal right back to council for that decision and oversight.
Sure.
And that might be the protection
That's
that
doable.
we're looking for.
I think that sounds great. Is there something already like that in our charter?
I'm sorry?
Is there something already like that in the charter about, any?
Being brought to council and ratified a board's decision.
Because I know that I know council has the authority to remove someone, override. Do we have the ability to?
I don't think there's anything specific dealing with this particular issue. If this is the way you wanted it, I think it needs to be in this ordinance.
Okay. Well, I'm all right with that.
I'm great with. I think Robert brings up definitely a great suggestion, and I'm on board with it.
So essentially then, say it again, Robert.
Give me a minute.
Exactly the same.
You're asking a lot.
You could say
Yeah.
it several different ways. You could say decisions to be ratified by council would be an amendment.
Or any board or commission
Yeah.
member choosing to appeal their
Yeah.
excused or their unexcused absences or the decision to remove them
May
from
appeal to
council may
council.
appeal to council.
I like the appeal process because I don't want to get into the deal of trying to ratify every
Yeah,
single.
did you?
I agree.
Did you?
Well, what we could add is, at the last sentence, at the end of the last sentence, escape me. Shall cause automatic removal, subject to appeal to city council.
Somebody want to make that amendment?
I will.
There's your first amendment. What was your other issue, Mayor Pro
The
Tem?
other concern I had was, or the question for us as a council, how do we go about the business of if there is, I don't know, Warren Buffett decided he wanted to live in Texas City. And he decided he wanted to serve on our Economic Development Council. How do we, the question is, do we want to exclude talent? That's the first question.
I do remember that conversation that we had back during our workshop for this, and what I have in my notes was that we decided, no, it needs to be someone who lives in within our city boundaries, but we absolutely don't want to turn away talent from any kind of ability to pull from a talent pool, right? We want to hear from people who have smart things to say about our decision-making processes, but they could serve as, an advisor. We would invite them to meetings. They could serve in a participatory.
Yeah, you're right, that's what it was. It was ex
you know,
officio, you're right.
It was, I feel very strongly that the only people who should be
Yeah.
appointed to boards and commissions must live within our.
So again,
And did we not do that with the impact fee study? We appointed some ex officios in a team to assist that board.
Yeah.
With that, and that worked well.
So then the only thing that I would suggest, guys, would be that we would put that in writing under the residency requirement that persons who live outside of our city limits may be appointed as ex officio non-voting members approved by this council. And that way, it leaves us the flexibility for, if there are talented people who want to serve, we can glean their experience and their information, but then allow that to be placed again into the hands of the decision makers, the citizens. And so I'm fine with that, if we do that part of it as well.
So how do you want to word it?
Uh,
'Cause I've been working on this for hours and hours.
I'm sorry,
I
Ellis.
didn't have a wording on this.
The second amendment will be,
Persons who live outside of our city limits may serve on committees and boards as ex officio members, ex officio non-voting members only.
I don't remember what our consensus was about who appoints them.
That could be, and I don't either, but
And
that
I-
would be council, would you think that would?
I guess, but I feel like I don't know, that's sort of a fuzzy area of, would it be then that, you come and say, y'all, Warren Buffett just moved into town and I really think he should be an ex officio member of planning and zoning.
I'm not
And-
sure I'd want Warren Buffett on one of our committees.
But, and.
Fill in the business person's name.
Yeah. Say, is it one council person and then it's a unanimous vote must allow for it?
I would think so. I would think you would need a unanimous, and this is just me, trying to solve issues. I would think it had to be a unanimous vote, and I would think that if he did move, here, whomever that person, she, would be, I would think that after they talk to Casey or Robert, Robert might say, hey, why don't you go up and apply for this board? And then once we get the application, Robert says, heads up, they don't live in the city, but they have this great experience. Then we, just like any other item on the agenda, Robert would bring it forth, we would discuss it, and then I would think it has to be a unanimous vote to safeguard against any person or entities coming in to do things that, maybe we might regret.
What do you think, Ellis?
Unanimous vote of
Council.
Council for a non-resident to serve.
to serve
ex
as
officio.
ex officio.
Yeah,
All right.
non-board.
How many do you want to allow
I
per
would-
board?
I would say we would probably only need one per board.
Per board. Okay.
I would think that'd be enough.
On one board.
If the council, there would be, I'm sure there'd be several boards that we wouldn't elect to put a person, but if there is people, a person or people that would step forward, then we would act on it, but
With unanimous vote of the council.
Does the appointment of an ex officio member affect your ability to appoint a voting member to anyone? To
I
any
thought
one
I
board or
said-
commission?
Individually?
Yeah, I would
As-
say, if I say, I've got an appointment to X, Y, and Z boards and commissions, but I also want to appoint an ex officio member.
In my opinion, the answer would be no, it would not affect it.
because it's just us gleaning information, it's as we come into contact with folks who we think would be beneficial, you could be the person that would, in my understanding of how this would work, you could be the person that would bring every ex officio member that we have. You just happen to be the person making the contact. And the council would then review and decide. So I think that it's our appointment, because we all have to kind of do it unanimously. But the council person that brings the person for consideration, I would think it could be anyone from the mayor on through yourselves.
Do they have, with these people, would they have the same term limits? Because there's not a season for them per se, so that's more a question for Ellis, but Ellis is deep in thought.
Well, we're losing Mr. Caldwell on this one. See you, brother.
Why not limit,
gonna make no comments.
why not limit,
y'all have a blessed holiday.
You too.
why not limit ex officios to one
To
term?
one year, and you just reappoint them
One
every.
year or one term, whatever that
Yeah.
may be, 1 year even, because sometimes that's a 2-year term, but that may only be there for a while,
Right.
and if it's needed.
And it may be needed for 1 year,
it can be-
whatever we're dealing with,
It can
right.
be reinstated,
Right.
and limit it.
Limited to 1 year unless reappointed by unanimous vote of council.
Okay.
Got all that?
So it's, we're approving non-resident,
Well, they don't
non-voting member
take over.
to serve on one board for 1 year with unanimous vote of council.
Yes. And then if the person that brought that person thinks they need another year, we'll bring it back to council. You know what I'm saying? If more than a year is needed. Let's say they're building a baseball field, and all of a sudden, one of the Astros comes down and wants to serve on the board.
So it'd be one-year term at a time.
Yes.
Right.
Okay, I think that's the way it's worded.
So we have both amendments on the table.
Subject to appeal of council, and the non-resident, non-voting member, person may serve on one board as ex officio for 1 year.
Ex officio,
Non-voting.
non-voting
Right.
for 1 year.
I'll get all that in there.
Okay, so he understands.
With unanimous approval of council.
Correct. Those are the two amendments that have been made this evening. We'll take those two amendments first. I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Amendments passed. Now, we'll take the ordinance as amended.
Yeah, and this will be considered a first reading.
Right.
Okay.
Right. I'll take the ordinance as amended. We already have a first and a second. Is there any further discussion? And I'll call for the vote on the ordinance as a whole. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you for the discussion. Item 9, under new business, A, discussion, possible action regarding adopting resolution number R-2018-0027 to approve the land use assumptions and capital improvements plan and to call a public hearing on the imposition of impact fees. I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
I second.
Motion second. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Item B, discussion, possible action regarding adopting resolution number R-2018-0028, calling for a public hearing on the dissolution of the Public Improvement District Number 3, Park Meadows, being located within the corporate limits of the city of Lamarck. Is this a roll call vote?
Yes.
First of all, I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion or any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call the roll. District D.
Aye.
District C.
Aye.
District B being absent, Mayor Pro Tem.
Aye.
And I'm an aye as well. Item C, discussion, possible action regarding adopting resolution number R-2018-0029, calling for a public hearing on the creation of a public improvement district, trails at Woodhaven Lakes, within the corporate limits of the city of Lamarck. I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Motion second. Any discussion? This need to be a roll call?
Yes.
District D.
Aye.
District C.
Aye.
District B being absent. District A.
Aye.
I'm an aye as well. Motion passes. Item D, discussion, possible action regarding adopting resolution number R-2018-0030, amending resolution number R-2018-0017, formalizing a city travel policy that had been established in previous years. I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Motion, is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Before we go to item E, I'd like for everyone to stay after the meeting. When we go into executive session later, there's going to be a test on all these ordinances. So I hope you remember all the numbers, and because you don't get to leave unless you pass the test, so. Well, good. You got them right in front of you. That's a
Geraldine's
good
ready.
answer. Item E, discussion, possible action regarding renewal of current lease program vehicles with Enterprise Fleet Management. I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Something that needs to be brought to my attention. Item F, discussion, possible action to accept a petition from property owners requesting that a contiguous geographic area in the city of Lamarck, namely Omega Bay subdivision, be designated as a tax increment reinvestment zone known as a TIRZ, T-I-R-Z, under the provisions of Chapter 311 of the Texas Tax Code, and call a public hearing on January 14th, 2019. I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Motion, 2 seconds. Any discussion? Hearing-
One discussion quickly. Ms. Darcy's firm has been very instrumental in getting this done, as well as Ms. Warren. The petitions that were finalized brought the value, you had to have petitions of 50.1% of the value of the total properties. Total properties were over 71 million in this one subdivision. Our petitions that were accepted were right at 54%. We actually had a total number of petitions representing right at 60%, but we culled out the ones that had errors where, even though instructions were very detailed, some owners, the second person didn't sign where there were two people on the deed, or they didn't put a contact number. It was not because they didn't want to sign. And these were only the people that we approached. There were many more that are absentee owners that are in favor of this, but we simply didn't, we expended a lot of man hours and efforts just to get this in front of everybody and to get those signatures, because there was not one master petition, but there had to be an individual petition for each household. And so consequently, once we had reached our number and had a cushion in there, we ceased, our legwork because our feet were tired. But anyway, and I want to thank everyone from the subdivision that is behind this. There's many of them that are here tonight. And again, I want to thank Ms. Darcy and her firm for what they've done. And she is here. The attachments we put into the binder of the proposed ordinance that we will be discussing for next week so that everybody has a chance to see it. And again, thank you.
Okay. I have a question to consider.
Yes, sir.
The streets in Omega Bay are private streets.
Yes, sir.
And it's understanding that the intent is to use public taxes, whether it's through TERS or otherwise,
Correct.
to fix these private streets.
Correct.
Has that issue been addressed?
The TERS, if you want to speak to that, the TERS allows that to do it. And what this does, this is moving those streets into a public domain. And the TERS money, I think, Ms. Darcy, it can only be used as capital, cannot be used for maintenance. It has to be used as we...
Correct. It can be a capital improvement. My name is Sue Darcy. I'm with the firm Marsh Darcy Partners. Some of you don't know me, but I've worked for you all off and on for almost 15 years now. It's always a pleasure to be back in the Marque. The issue, Councilmember, is one of the ownership of the streets. It was intended originally that the streets would become public streets. In other words, the city would receive a conveyance of the right-of-way from the homeowners association for the fee simple title that exists underneath the streets. That has not been completely ironed out yet. Quite frankly, we just got the petitions this week, and so we haven't gone to those details yet. But it is intended that the streets will become public streets, so there will be public money spent on public streets.
Okay, how is it being proposed that they become public?
Through, is it the homeowners association owns the fee under the streets now, and that the homeowners association would convey that to the city. There's been a survey done of the streets, the right-of-ways, basically an as-built, and that survey would be the basis by which you would convey the description of the fee simple title under the streets.
Let me add to that. The founding documents of that neighborhood by Mr. Sakonis states that everybody collectively owns the street from the center line of the street to the center line of the canal. Legally, you can't own a navigable waterway, but the verbiage is in there. Now, when we started this thing, there was some confusion that people were saying, well, I'm paying taxes on that street, and that's not so. Your property lines are from the edge of the street to your bulkhead, and that is what the appraisal district taxes you on. But collectively, the streets are commonly owned, but that conveyance is also in those deed restrictions, that it is the homeowners association that has all the authority over them and to maintain them and everything today. But what the TERS is now is to create that conveyance to the city and get these things rebuilt. But it's a long-term plan. It's not an overnight thing, but this provides a funding method, basically a self-funding method, to do that without a negative impact to the city.
But if we run afoul of something in the legal documents with regards to the the fee simple ownership of the right-of-way and the roads. Chapter 380 does allow,
Can you speak up a little louder?
yes, Chapter 380, TERSs can do Chapter 380 agreements, and we could do the reconstruction of the streets through the TERS being able to use 380 at council's approval to repave the streets.
Okay. But you have an agreement with the owner, the private owner of the property?
Not
Under
yet.
380?
Not yet, no. That'll be something we'll address between now and the time of the TERS creation. Until we had petitions, we didn't go to all the expense of trying to do all of that, but we will now.
And I believe all we're doing, Ellis, is accepting the petition and calling a public hearing.
Oh, I understand. I'm just
You
bringing the issue out front. Yeah.
Got you.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. And welcome back to Lamar.
Y'all don't call me often enough anymore.
There's 1,000 things I could say, but I'm not going to say anything. So, everything costs a little bit of money. So we have, do we have a motion on this? We have a motion, we have a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? We're going to be going into executive session, ladies and gentlemen. So I would like to give the council a chance to say their piece before we go back, because we may be back there for a few moments. So, Ms. McAuliffe.
I just have best wishes for the holiday season. Merry Christmas to those who celebrate, and Happy Hanukkah to those who just wrapped up celebrating, and just all the good feelings, and hooray for winter, and let's hope it doesn't rain so much over the Christmas break. That's it. That's all I have.
Thank you. Councilman Mitch Stitch.
I want to thank everybody for coming tonight. The next meeting in January is an important meeting to attend. Well, actually, all of them are. I do want to make an announcement that I believe it was either this past Saturday or next Saturday, there is one of our local small businesses. It hasn't always been owned by the same owner, but it's been a continuous business of Snow King, has been in operation for 50 years now.
Yeah, 50 years.
And I want to say congratulations to Greg Cornett. We saw an announcement that came out about the award to this veteran that's coming up in January. I would encourage all citizens, everybody that can make it out there, to be there and show our support for this family. When the dedication was made that they were going to get this, it was a very, very moving thing, and it's something that's important. And also, we have wreaths across America that Mr. Pennington is heading for the cemetery. That is another important one coming up.
That's on December the 15th, and the dedication of the Veterans Home in Delaney Cove is January the 25th at 10 a.m.
And Merry Christmas to everybody, and remember what the season is really about. Thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, everybody. Appreciate you being here this evening. I'd like to encourage everyone, especially folks in Omega Bay, to wear sunscreen. I'm seeing 2 of everybody in here tonight because I had basal cell Mohs surgery on the bridge of my nose, and it's not fun. When I was young and 30 and invincible, I never thought about wearing sunscreen, but it's never too late to start. So that's my admonition and encouragement to you, especially you young folks. And God bless you guys, and we'll see you next time. Now, on item 10, executive session, the City Council for the City of Lamarque, Texas, reserves the right to adjourn into executive session at any time. Excuse me, ladies and gentlemen, if you could save your talking for just a moment. During the course of this meeting, to discuss any of the matters listed below as authorized by the Texas Government Code, Section 551.071, consultation with attorney. Tonight, we are going under 551.074, personnel matters, discussion of city manager position for the city of Lamarck. We'll now adjourn into executive session. Will you call the time, please?
7:01.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. 7:01. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. We're back after executive session, December 10th, City of Lamarck. We do have an action item from executive session. That's item number 1, discussion, possible action regarding the position of city manager for the City of Lamarck. I'll entertain a motion.
So moved?
I think we probably should state.
Yeah, should say what it is.
Totally stated, just.
I mean, okay.
Motion to approve.
I make a motion to approve the city manager profile and post the job description and call for applications prepared by Ron Cox Consulting.
And is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you, council. Thank you,
you.
Ron.
Thanks,
Motion
Ron.
adjourned.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
That's going to go down as a consensus of council.
Yeah.